Born in the beautiful, colorful island of Madeira, Portugal, I'm one of 12 siblings. My parents arrived in Toronto in the summer of 1967. We had no home when we arrived in Canada and were split up and sent to live with different relatives, followed by living in rental homes until my parents could afford to purchase a home of our own. I remember always being crammed for space. Imagine 6 girls in one bedroom, 3 to a double bed. Both my father and mother were deeply religious. We attended church every Sunday and often forced to kneel and pray the rosary at home as a family. My parents proudly believed that marriage was for life, no matter what the struggles and frustrations. I believe they deeply loved one another, but there was little affection and love expressed openly. On the outside, Dad was a quiet, polite man. On the inside, he was a broken man. At the young age of 5, he lost his mother to her mental health struggles and was raised by his stepmother, then grandmother. He was only 18 when he left home to find his way in life. 20 years later, he found himself in Canada working nights as a cleaner for the Toronto School Board. Coming home from school, we had to be mindful Dad was sleeping. We didn't want to wake him. Our parents' bedroom was next to the kitchen in one home. So walking by the bedroom door was like walking on eggshells. We were afraid of our father's disciplinary measures. He believed, spare the rod and spoil the child, a practice that ended shortly after arriving in Canada. Mom would say, "Don't make me tell your father," when she wanted us to behave. On the other hand, I was aware that sometimes she'd protect us from Dad's fury by leaving out details of our behavior. With only one parent working to support a large family, there were arguments. Our family believed that a glass of red wine with dinner was a good thing. However, too much of the red juice occasionally created unpleasant scenarios. These were not good times to discuss lack of money to feed and clothe the family. Dad was already working long hours. One precious moment late in my father's life was when he said, "I know I haven't shown love, but I love you all." He was referring to his children. Dad, still a stocky, young-looking 76-year-old, passed away in 2006. He had been diagnosed with dementia 2 years earlier. My brother Marcel also struggled with mental health challenges and was hospitalized several times in his 20s. He was on medication for most of his life. Before he departed us, he tried several times to quit the medication cold turkey. This changed him and at times made him enraged. He tried to move back to Mom's home, but Mom feared his behavior. He ended up back in the hospital for short periods of time and was put back on medication. Marcel tragically took his own life in 2008. My sister Josie also deals with mental health stresses. At her best, she's kind, caring, and giving. At her worst, she's irrational, unreasonable, and gets irritated easily. That's how she was acting when she arrived unexpectedly on my mother's doorstep in April of 2016. She'd been living with friends in British Columbia for many years, but had recently fallen out with them due to her behavior. Her presence in Toronto disrupted our lives. We felt helpless, frustrated, and afraid. We learned that Josie was hearing voices, unpleasant voices, from men in security planes flying over her, or when she was home over the house. Nasty pilots beaming hurtful x-rays down on her and seriously hurting her in the head. You heard about the night she called the police from my brother Mario's story. While in the hospital, Josie displayed resistance to any form of treatment, and after 2 weeks she was released and returned home to Mom's. The family was concerned. Mom in her 80s couldn't give Josie the support she needed. Over the coming months, I felt pressured by family members to fix the situation. But the only way, seemed to me at the time, was to find Josie the help she needed. Well, I quickly learned she was not receptive to suggestions, opinions, nor could she be challenged on any topic. It only frustrated both parties. I or my siblings didn't know how to support her. I wanted to fix it all so everyone would have their normal lives back. But how? It was clear Mom was having difficulty coping with Josie's behavior when she was at her worst. Does Josie move to live with me? How do I get a night's rest to get up early in the morning, go to work, and support a loved one who is up wandering around the house at odd hours of the night, or goes out or comes in the middle of the night? A loved one who raises her voice out of frustration and a result of hearing distressful voices, or loudly cries out of frustration or pain. How does one support a loved one who is not open to any form of treatment? Then there was the excessive worry about her whereabouts, occasionally resulting in a call to the police and hospitals to find her. Trying to find answers and support, I reached out to my employee assistance program through work. Josie was in Mom's home. And if Mom wanted to change the situation, it was up to Mom to work it out with Josie. That's what I got out of that. Mom, who would rather starve by giving away her last piece of bread to her child, endured the challenges. Through St. Joseph's Health Center, we were referred to Family Outreach and Response. Their programs allowed me to learn about recovery, nonviolent communication, boundary setting, self-care, letting go, and practicing hope. I learned that it's not about what I can do for Josie, but rather what we as family members can do for ourselves and in turn help our loved one. I learned I don't have to control, fix, or change anything I have no control over. It's okay to let go and let be. Over time, I felt less burdened and less worried. I made room for hope. I also learned to see beyond my sister's illness. I saw generosity, kindness, and willingness to help Mom. My sister is one strong, determined, and resourceful woman. Despite her challenges, she persistently looked for housing while in Toronto and found work as kitchen help in restaurants. She learned to get around the city, found drop-in centers, and found herself a doctor. Her jobs would not last long, and in between jobs, she'd sometimes have painful episodes. But one thing is certain, she gave it her all. She tried, she failed, she tried again and again. She persisted in working towards living an independent life. Early in 2017, Josie decided to return to British Columbia. We could not stop her and worried once more. She settled with friends once again and tried to find work. A couple months ago, she actually made a 10-day trip to Italy on her own. Worry some more. Today, she occupies some of her free time helping an elderly gentleman, an old friend of hers, Nathan, who lives alone and needs assistance with some activities of daily living. We as family members of struggling loved ones need support at a time of crisis. I am very grateful to have learned of the programs through Family Outreach and Response. They provided the support I didn't know I needed. The program opened my eyes. I became aware I had no control over what my sister decides. I have no say over her medical care decisions or where she decides to go next. I do, however, have control over my actions, my reactions. What I say and how I say it can either frustrate or support her. For me, my sister's visit brought on self-awareness and mindset shifts. Today, I have a different perspective of my sister and of people in general. I like to think I'm a little less judgmental and more understanding, and perhaps a little more compassionate. It's work in progress. I learned that I needed to react less and listen more. I learned I needed to let go. and have hope. Thank you.